Hi, it's Elaine, and this is Tales of an Entrepreneur, where we discover not only what entrepreneurs do, but why they do it. Our stories can be our superpower. So, this season, I will delve further into the talent, passion, resilience, and determination that often sits behind a successful small business. Life can throw us curveballs. Events and experience happen which shape us and our business. We all face hard times, and we will discover what they were, how they got through it, and the knowledge they applied to their highly successful business. So today I'm joined by Clare Froggatt from Make A Brew. Clare has spent over 25 years working in marketing and has a passion for branding. She loves to create, develop, and build brands that will make a real difference to her clients' businesses. As a self professed lover of the outdoors, Clare says she finds inspiration wherever she goes. It's not unheard of for her to be sketching ideas on a napkin while at a coffee shop or recording voice notes on the golf course. Clare founded her brand agency, Make A Brew, just over 5 years ago, and I'm really looking forward to find out what was the driving force behind it and why she chose the memorable name for her business. So, Clare, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello, my pleasure.
And so let's kick things off. Why did you choose Make A Brew? I love that name. How did that come about?
Oh, crikey. Well, Make A Brew's my third business, so we can tell you about the other two if you like before that. But I was sitting there, decided after a redundancy, which is what I suppose the driving force behind this version of the business was,
Yeah.
and trying to think up a name. And I didn't want it to be my name because I like to do things separately and I like to be independent of. And I was sitting there with my blank piece of paper. As always, I can think of a million ideas for everybody else, but when it comes to mine, I'm such a procrastinator and everything has to be perfect and it has to whatever. So anyway, I'm sitting there and I just said to the dog, "Oh, let's make a brew."
Yeah.
And the dog went nuts. She's always nuts, by the way. She's a Springer Spaniel. But she went particularly mad at the term make. And I thought, "Oh, Make a Brew. I like that." I was like, "Well, I do like a brew. It's got to be in a big cup. If it's not, if you can't fit three fingers in the handle, cup's not big enough."
I like that.
Yeah. So went and made a cup of tea, came back, make a brew. I thought, actually, in the north of England, that's what we do. When somebody comes to your house or you start a meeting, generally the first thing you say is about refreshments. Do you want a drink? Do you need a cuppa or whatever your terminology is?
Yeah.
And mine's obviously the Make a Brew, which I am thoroughly a Yorkshire person. I'm firmly planted in the White Rose County. So a lot of people in Lancashire, at the other side of the hills, use the word brew. But I just thought, no, I like it. That's just me. That's what I use. So that's where the name come from. It's the best way to start a meeting, the best way to start a conversation. And after 5 o'clock somewhere, a brew comes in a pint pot.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, it does. And so, is there anything that you want to add about your business journey that we haven't included there in your little introduction?
No, you were quite good at that. Basically, I brought all my 20, pushing 8 years of professional experience together. And I think throughout the journey of the business, things have evolved and changed and gone along because I can do a lot of things. I've been around a while and I'm curious and I like to do different things. But just because you can doesn't mean to say you should.
Yes.
And my passion's always been branding and ideas. So it's been a dream for a long time to come up with something. How can I sell ideas? Because you're selling hot air, basically, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you have to wrap ideas into something else. And I do like branding. I like identities and visuals and things. And other people tell me I'm generally quite good at it. You can see I've recently done a job for, let's just say, a top level CEO.
Yeah.
He'd got a website, and a friend of mine said, "Have a look at this website." And I went, "Crikey." I said, "Why does it look like that?" And we both went, "No, no." And I went, "Why is it that colour? He's not that colour." I said, he's blue." And she just went, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, does he ever wear that colour? No. Is that a very professional looking colour? No. He's a really senior guy." It was like a pale burgundy-ish ready colour.
Yeah.
No, that's not him. So I said, it needs to be blue, maybe with that, but a bolder version of that as I treat it like a sofa. Your sofa's blue and the cushions on it are that brighter burgundy.
That's
That's the
right.
balance you need to use. And I
Yes.
like to use everyday normal analogies to explain what I'm thinking. In my head, that's a contrasting colour in a probably 80-20 ratio. And you're like, normal people don't want to hear that. So I like to tell it in a story. And that's done in 10 minutes. That's because that's what my brain goes like that quickly, and because I can see what it is and know what works and know a little bit about the person. Granted, I did know a little bit about the background of this person as well.
Yeah.
And we'll not mention names, so there's no embarrassment or anything about any people that have done work before. Because
Absolutely.
everybody's
Yeah.
got their own opinion and everybody has a different way of thinking and working, which is why there are customers out there for us all. But ideas I try and wrap into everything that I do. And there'll be something, I'm just going to give a little taste of what's coming for 2025 because I've had a bit of an epiphany.
Okay.
And it
Interesting.
might be how I can do things with ideas a little bit more, or that'll be the lead on how I promote Make A Brew or the service, or it may be called something different.
Okay. Watch this space.
Indeed.
And so when you talk,
I've said it now, I've got to do it.
you do, yeah, it's out there. There's no going back. And so when you talk about stories, I mean, that, in my mind, that's kind of what brand development is about telling a story. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I find you come across many if logos or brands, because a logo is not a brand. A brand is much more than just a logo. But let's say that most people, there's a logo or the first thing that you see related to a business. So there's people and there's vehicles and shop fronts and things like that. But
Yeah.
think of McDonald's. It's the golden arch is the M. So that's the logo that you see first. And there should be a story behind it of why it is what it is. I think there's a lot of people when they start a business, because this is the side of things that they don't know about.
Yeah.
They're really good at the thing that they do, or they've found an idea and they're learning about a lot of things on the journey, and they just get a logo or something. Think if it can mean something or tell a story, you find that you're passionate about it and you're much more happy about talking about it and introducing it to people. It's easier to introduce yourself or introduce the business and what it does at networking events, or to talk about it online, or to position it, or to attract the right customer. Because not everybody's your customer. I mentioned that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
There's different people for different service providers or different shops and things. Like, for example, we drive different cars. And some people might just drive a car because they want to get from A to B and they don't care what it looks like or how big it is or whatever. And then there's certain people who drive a certain make and model of vehicle or a certain colour, or they won't drive a certain colour. And that's similar in business. You
Yeah.
get people that, I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I might be a bit too tigger and a bit too giddy for people, and I'm quite blunt, but I try to wrap it in a nicety, and I always give a reason. Like sometimes a client will say they want something a certain way, and I'll say no, but this is why.
Yeah.
Rather than no, you're not having that, or that won't work.
Yeah.
You're trying to educate them and explain to them, and if possible, try and include what they want or their idea into something that will work.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
an example I always use on that one is working with a funeral director some years ago now, and they wanted their branding to look red, and I was like, oh God, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most people, when I say that first sentence, there's a look of shock. So as people in everyday life, we wouldn't expect a funeral director's signage or the front of it or their identity to be red. However, there are lots of different shades of red. So most people, when you say red, go pillar box red.
Yes.
Or London bus, or the old phone boxes. Yes, I am that old. But a red wine, a Merlot red, or a Burgundy red, or something a little bit more, the word, regal, or something looking like that. That kind of red would work.
Yes.
And again, go back to the settee analogy. If it was used sparingly and in the right places, then it would look quite classy and supportive and all those things that most funeral directors would want their image to present.
Yeah.
But you've got to speak in a language or in a way that most people can understand or they can find interesting. That's why I like about dealing either face to face with somebody or where video comes in, because you get to see somebody's expression and you get to know whether they've got a question or they're frowning, and their facial expressions tell you that they understand something or that they like something or where they're coming from. And I feel that my job is also to read people and read things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And so you talk about stories, and that leads us quite nicely into the next question. So this podcast is all about people's stories and the twists and turns that life throws at us and how we end up where we are today and what we can offer the world because of it. So do you want to explain to us about your journey or anything significant that happened on the way that kind of shaped what you do and how you do it?
Well, we'll just keep it in recent history, I think, because I could
Okay.
go on forever. So if anybody wants to know more, book a brew, and I'll tell you
Absolutely,
happily.
yeah.
I'm quite an open book. But I would say in the last probably 2 years, so Make A Brew was 6 next March. So you were right in saying it's just over 5. So we're coming up to being 6.
Okay.
And I would say a year into the business, we had lockdown, which impacted a lot of people in a lot of ways.
Yes.
But I think for me, it was a positive thing in terms of the business, because I thought my business was firmly rooted in South Yorkshire, and within a couple of hours radius of, I thought that's where I could significantly help people and where I could serve people with what I do. Then comes lockdown, and actually my glass ceiling was shattered, because I've worked with customers that I've never met before, some I've never seen before,
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't like video and whatever. They pick the phone up or do an email or a text message or whatever. And I've got clients on the South Coast, down in Plymouth, London, Birmingham, Derby, Scotland, Canada, America, you name it. They're everywhere. So lockdown just taught me, or gave me the lesson of, have internet, can work anywhere.
Absolutely.
So I think then coming out of lockdown and thinking about change, and I think it changed the world in a lot of senses. It pushed a lot of sectors and industries forward leaps and bounds
It really
quicker.
did.
I
Yes.
think it changed us, and I speak generally in terms of us as consumers. I think it accelerated the I want this and I want it now. Because we've got Netflix, I can watch what I want when I want. I can order food. So we are a consumer-driven people, if you like.
Yes.
So I think, well, how can we as business owners do that as well? It's how can you preempt what people want? When are they going to want it? And I think the clearer you are on your who you want to work with and the kind of people. So who your customers are and the kind of people, I think, is a value match, and what your values are. And there's things that matter to me and things that matter to you. And I think if you find your tribe or find your people, and that goes for people that you network with, that you are friends with, that you spend your time with, and that you work with, it makes the whole experience a hell of a lot simpler and easier, because you're coming from things at the same angle.
COVID,
So basically,
yes, we had COVID and the world changed.
yes, we had COVID.
Yeah,
The world changed.
Yeah.
And then a little bit more closer to home, my world changed, and it started off, my stepdad had passed away and he'd been ill, so it wasn't a surprise, but it was a shock at the time.
Yeah.
And I think that was the catalyst, because my mum's got Alzheimer's. I think the passing of my dad was the catalyst for that coming. And that's been taken up pretty much the last 18 months. So I think my ability to be as creative and to think clearly has been a little bit hindered by that. And just an acceptance, really. I think acceptance is a huge thing in any either trauma or troubling time you're going through. If there's nothing you can do about it, then there isn't. So try to worry less about what you can't do anything about and focus on what you can do something about.
Absolutely.
So I think it made me sort of step back and question a little bit. Why am I here? What am I doing? What am I doing it for? Which is really challenging when you're a sole trader and running your own business, because you've still got to be the business and still got to do work. And in my line of work, you've still got to be creative when you really feel about as creative as a brick. So I think that's mean a little bit of a slowdown in the way that I think I would normally progress things. What did it teach me? I think more patience, the things that are in life that can't control, a lot of realization that I think there's a lot of people that will have been at this point where I'm at now. And you come to a point when you're either parenting your parents, or that realization is probably the first one to accept. And then the fact that it's a journey. I mean, if I had the power to wipe one thing off the face of the earth, it will be Alzheimer's and dementia, because it is just a vile thing. The person that's suffering it doesn't really understand what's happening and can't comprehend it. It's more the people around them that see the decline. Basically, I'm grieving for my mum. She's dying a little piece at a time. I know I'm much stronger now because I can say that without needing a box of tissues and things. But again, it's a journey, and I'm expecting to. I call it running. I'm running the hurdles. The hurdles are at head height, and I don't know when they're coming. So there's going to be something else that comes and wallops me and puts me back. All we're doing is giving mum moments. So if you can see that she's happy and she's loved and she's cared for, fantastic. That's all we can do. But the value in that, to make her feel like that, is great. So we've come through a journey, and I've had to learn how to do lasting powers of attorney and all different things like that. So if there's anybody else listening to this podcast that's running a business or not, and you're going through this or starting this journey with some loved one of yours, then by all means reach out. I'm more than happy to listen, share what I've done. Anyway, that's my bumps in the road over the last 18 months, and they'll still continue being a bit lumpy. I'm sure they will. But I think in this last year, I had some personal issues with my health as well, which kind of hindered me. And I'm quite happy to ask for help in business if I'm struggling with something or need something doing. But I don't think I'm one of these people that asks for help personally. And I found that a really hard lesson to learn. That when you're basically off your feet and you can't do anything, so I need my dog looked after and walked and whatever, and I'm basically mum's guardian and what's happening there. But I think beneficially, because of my situation, we managed to get mum help quicker, because a lot of people, it takes 1 to 2 years to get a diagnosis, and then you're lucky if you get a social worker that has got the capacity to help you and do what you need. It's a really difficult job, and I don't think I could do it, so there's no judgment there on anybody that does. But the caseloads they have for the different people they need to help, and it's all about funding and places, and unfortunately we live in a country where there's an ageing population and a lot more people needing the services.
There is.
But we managed to get mum diagnosed, paid for it privately to get a diagnosis, because that's the first thing that sped it up, and then getting her some support was because I was unable to help her. So I think I've had a bit of a reality check on the fact, no, I'm not Wonder Woman as much as I'd like to be. And sometimes I do need help, and we all do. And I'm the first person that offers help to other people, but when you have to ask for it yourself, it's really difficult lesson to learn.
Absolutely. What's that saying goes, that our body keeps a score. We might in our heads think we can conquer all, but our bodies will tell us different.
And I think part of your body as well is your mental health.
Yes, absolutely.
Because whilst I did personally, I had a physical setback last year. It was something to do with my foot, so I couldn't walk the dog and I couldn't play golf, and that made me discover that actually I need the outdoors, I need to walk, I need to play golf. It's not just an exercise thing, it helps my mental health. As well as exercise, because when you've walked up our 8th hole, you know about it. It's a big steep hill. And it's my social life as well. It's the people that I spend time with. And I couldn't do that for 6 months. And at the time when we were going through all the trauma with mum, actually not being able to do that. So I had to find other ways of, let's say, coping. So I don't think I got me back until the summer of this year, when I could actually get out and play out, I call it. When I could play out again, and when I could walk my dog myself, and when I could play golf again and do all of that stuff and seek some help. I have seen somebody for counselling, and I call them happy pills. So they do keep things on a bit of an even keel. So sometimes we all do need a little bit of help there.
Couldn't agree more.
And I think I think I'm me again.
Good.
I think I'm more me, but I think a little bit wiser, definitely a bit older. And I think learning that actually you can have some help, and maybe the way that my business has been running, or I thought it was running for the last 4 or 5 years leading up to now, doesn't have to be the way it continues. So
No.
I'm looking to make some changes, but I do love what I do. I think there's going to be some shift in the balance of how much I do that and how much I do something else. Still relative.
Yeah.
And that's that. I'm quite. It's the first time I've been excited about my business for quite a few years now. I think I've been like sort of on the hamster wheel of being a business owner, and anybody that knows that there's ups and downs, and people go, oh, if you run a own business you can do what you want. Yeah, but I also think when there's no work, how am I going to pay my bills?
Absolutely.
And, I love business. I love learning about other people's businesses. I love hearing other people's stories and what they've done and how they get there, and it's just really interests me. So I think everybody can have tough times. Know that if you're going through a tough time, there's other people out there that might not be the same, or they'll certainly feel differently, because we're not all the same. But a little bit of understanding and kindness goes a long way, and just that offer that it's okay not to be okay.
Absolutely.
And there's support out there when you need it, and just having a really good network around you. You can't, as well as family. I'm talking more on the business side because of the nature of this podcast. But
Yeah.
I think you can have some really good friends in business, as well as you've got acquaintances and people that you work with and see and talk to. But there's a few people that are a bit closer to you, and I think they're the ones that can understand, because sometimes your family can't understand what it's like to run a business, because it's a totally different thing.
No, it's a very unique experience, isn't it? It can be anything very
Indeed.
unique. Yeah. And so that leads us quite nicely onto the next question, Claire. So you mentioned there about having friends in business. So you've been through, a really, really tough few years, and you've learned quite a lot, and you've had these epiphany moments, which I think we do when we go through something so life-changing. Yeah, you kind of have to find meaning and purpose in it all, don't you? But who were the people that stood out when you started taking those first steps back towards you again? With, what kind of support did you receive, and who were they, and what do they look like?
I think generally, clients and people that I was working with, I've been quite open about what's been going on.
Yeah.
I don't feel shame about changing appointments and cancelling things, because 2 years ago I would never change an appointment. Once you make an appointment with me, that's it, that stands.
Yeah.
And I'd have to lose my leg to not come. But actually, when other things come, and I've heard quite a lot, people's responses is family comes first. So that's been a general support all around. I think I've had to go through a stage until I knew what I wanted and knew what help I wanted. Then I won't ask for it, because if my answers are if you can't help yourself first, or start to help yourself first, I don't think you can really get the right help back.
Yeah.
So that's how I work anyway. So I've had the growth community, the networking that we do. There's been several people within that I've spoken to in detail about what's going on. My accountant, Michael Hall, is absolutely awesome. He knows everything inside out, upside down, back to front about the financial side, but possibly not as much about the mental side struggle. But I could talk to him if I did. Claire Taylor Foster's my business bestie, and she's always there no matter what. We do work together as well as network together, and I know I can ask her anything at any point in time.
Yeah.
Ditto she can. I helped her out yesterday, actually, because she'd left her phone at home, which meant she couldn't open her gates to get in the house. So I got visions of two middle-aged women trying to climb over a wall in the gate to get into Claire's house. Didn't happen. I rang her daughter.
Yeah.
I rang her daughter because I've got her number as well. So yeah, I'll just share that with everybody. If you can picture, I play golf. I don't climb over walls. So yeah, I think you've got people like that yourself. We've had you've had a journey yourself, and
I have,
when you were
yes.
first going into that, you probably received a little bit of what I have, at people understanding and said, "Look, go do what you need to do." I've had that back now. Go do what you need to do. Come back to me when you're ready. Financially, the business has taken hit from it, but
Yeah.
I'm still here. I'm
Yes,
still
you are.
vertical and still breathing, which is my what my late grandfather's one of his. If you're right, Grandad, and it's I'm vertical and breathing. So I've been
Could be
using that a lot
worse.
lately. And if it's a positive start, if you're vertical and breathing, you're winning already. And
Absolutely.
then anything else is a bonus. Most people know that my mum's got Alzheimer's. I don't hide that fact, and there needs to be more awareness about that disease
Absolutely.
and the impact it has on the people around.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's really funny that the amount of people that I have said it to, they've had somebody the same, or they've come across somebody that's had that,
Yeah.
or even people that are going through a different thing where it's either a loss or a grief or something, because it doesn't have to be specifically that. And I just think you can't always sort things out on your own, and in solitude you need people around you. And I always think honesty is the best policy in business, whether things are going good or bad.
Yeah.
I think if you make a mistake, or whether the mistake's not your fault, if you're the one that's dealing with it, if you pick the phone up, don't do it on an email, don't do it on a text, pick the phone up, or at least try to make an appointment for a phone call or an in-person visit and speak to people. Again, it's all about acceptance, I think. And
So it's
and
evolving and
just move forward,
adapting.
and
Yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah.
being a little bit more, like I say, kind and accepting, and moving on, and kind to yourself. I just think that you a bit of honesty, not entirely honesty, and not where you do it, either good or bad, or when you make a mistake, or when you need some help, you've got to go to somebody, because if you don't tell somebody what's going on, they'll make assumptions and fill the gaps in themselves,
Yeah. Yeah. They will.
and that's never a good thing.
No, it isn't. You're right. You're right. And so you mentioned about the support that you've had from clients and colleagues and in the network, and I have to agree with you there. I think the Yorkshire Business Network is a very, very special one. Just all the businesses that are around us in the surrounding areas. It's a really very unique thing to be part of. It's very, very supportive. But how is how is what you've been through over the last few years and like these light bulb moments, how has that made you different in your working life and how you run your business? Have you had some big shifts and big changes in that?
I think the major change on reflection is that I've always been a bit of a workaholic. Is
Yeah.
there such thing as a bit? Because I love what I do. I think it's made me a bit more relaxed,
Yeah.
and a bit more. To quote Claire Taylor again, it's like the Claire Taylor Appreciation podcast. This, but she is a
Yes, it
wise one.
is. Yes, it is. If you're listening, Claire.
And she's always said to me that things will happen and things will come in time. But I've always been I suppose you could describe it as a bit of a hustler, and I mean working hard hustler.
Yeah.
And I think this experience has taught me just to relax a bit,
Yeah.
and actually now I understand what Claire meant, or now I know how to do it. It's
Yeah.
like that, being kind. I'm being kind to myself, and no people who know, be kind for you. What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does be kind to yourself mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's different to everybody. I think it's made me laugh, actually, because I've got this sort of relaxed bit of a approach, and I feel more like me. Work's just coming.
Yeah.
It's like, great. Why ain't I like this before? And you're like, don't ask why for that. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think certainly the experiences with my health was to stop me in my tracks and make me think differently. I would never have asked for what I've dealt with mum, but they say that you don't give what you can't deal. You don't get what you can't deal with.
Yes, I've heard that
And believe me,
saying
I've
as
asked that
well.
question.
Me
I've
too.
asked why a lot in a lot of dark nights and
Yeah.
whatever, and moments of needing a bucket for tears because there's not enough tissues.
I know.
But also, you've got to let those emotions. You've got to let anger out. You've got to let tears out. You can't hold emotions in. Now, you might do this privately, but unfortunately, I'm one of those people that, that question that just unravel. You put your
Are you
mask on
okay?
and you go out there and you think you right, I'm good today. And somebody goes, are you all right? And you go,
No.
game over.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yes.
I wear my heart on my sleeve. In fact, it's tattooed at the top of my left arm. So I do wear my heart on my sleeve, and I can't hide if I'm feeling sad or upset or whatever. And I've been sat in various different coffee shops of kind, and people have asked me that question, and but I think we're all different. We're all who we are. Some people are much more private, but if you are private, make sure you've got people around you that you can talk to, that can support you. And if, like me, you're a walking like visual, this is how I'm feeling or whatever, or you'll find people that really know you that'll just go, what's wrong then? I'm fine. Like, no, I can see
Yes.
behind that.
Yes.
But I think, yeah, like I say, I think you've got to try and find the positives in every experience, but sometimes it takes longer or it's harder to see them.
Yes.
I think I now have an ambitious lifestyle business because this is going to fit in with my lifestyle. It ain't going to fit in with like churning away and sitting at the desk for 15 hours a day and working and doing it. I'm going to be like, yeah, I'll play golf next Wednesday, so I'm having another day off next Wednesday.
Yeah.
But I'll probably do a bit of work on Saturday or Sunday.
And even though you've
And
got there in
mum
the
needs me.
most awful way possible, it's a pretty special gift to give yourself, isn't it?
Well, I think so. I'm appreciating it now. I think,
I think
and
so.
that's all right to do that.
Yeah.
It's like I've cancelled an appointment next week because I've got to do something for mum, and I'm like, well, I'm doing it because she comes first,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I
She
come
does.
second.
Family comes first, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And so would you say that, so I think a lot of times we doubt ourselves, don't we? We doubt what we're capable of achieving or doing. Would you say that you surprised yourself in your resilience of being able to just pick yourself back up when you've been, at the lowest?
I think in this instance, yeah. I think I've been through other things in life, and I've bounced back. I'm still here, aren't I? I'm still doing
Yes.
what I do. I think this one's been particularly tough with it being who it is,
Yeah.
and the timing of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the resilience is only just. I'm only just appreciating that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that button.
Do you want to take a minute?
No, you're good. You're good.
You're okay?
I think there again, the realism of this. I still find it hard for people that other people say that to me.
Yeah.
I'm just here. I've done it. Survive. I say surviving.
Surviving, yes.
Surviving, but
Yeah.
I think I've also realised that whilst I like praise or work-wise, or you've done a great job, I can handle a great job. I think when it's something personal and somebody
Yeah.
comments on either my resilience or, yeah, I've done a pretty damn good job with learning all this stuff that's legal and binding and clearing mum's flat and possessions and doing all things like that. Yeah, I am pretty proud of myself, but when somebody else says it to me, it's like,
I know.
okay.
And having an injury and
Don't
running a
quite
business.
don't quite know how to deal with that.
I know. You have done an incredible job, Claire. You should feel proud of yourself. You should.
Thank you.
And so, everything you've learned, all these epiphany moments that you've had, especially over recent years, and all that knowledge you've gained, what is the one piece of advice that you'd give?
Oh, crikey. I think no matter what let's call it trauma, is that you are going through or feeling at the moment, there is always an end.
Yeah.
There is always a light at the end of the tunnel, and sometimes that place is not always as bad as you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
At the time, very difficult to see, but all you've got to do, like I say, every day, vertical and breathing, and just keep going. It might take a minute, a day, a week, a month, a year, whatever. It'll be on your own time frame, and you will get through it, because we do.
Yeah.
We are amazing human beings, and you've just got to have your moments, wallow for a little bit, but don't stay in that pond like a hippopotamus. That's not good.
Yes.
You wouldn't look good when we have soggy skin, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
But I think something that we Brits always do is find the humour in things as well.
Yes.
I think once you can find the humour in your own circumstance, you know you're coping with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just keep going. Simple but powerful.
Just keep swimming, like
Just
Dory
keep
says.
swimming. I was actually singing that in my head when I was saying it. Yes. Thank you so much, Claire. Honestly,
My pleasure.
It's been an absolute privilege having you on and hearing your story. And thank you so much for sharing it with us. And I'm sure it will definitely help a good few people out there that choose to listen to it.
I hope it does.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.